Have you ever loved someone who couldn't stay? Have you ever opened your soul to another, only to watch them slowly drift into the mist, leaving you with unanswered questions and an ache you couldn't name? You tried everything. You gave your light, your loyalty, your limitless compassion, and still they left. Or worse, they stayed just long enough to bruise your spirit and vanish without warning. And so you began to wonder, is there something wrong with me? Why does love always slip through my fingers like holy water I can't contain? Why do my relationships burn bright and then collapse like stars too big for this world? You kept quiet. You didn't tell anyone that behind your smile was a sacred sorrow. That every time someone walked away, it wasn't just their absence, it was the echo of abandonment from lifetimes before. Because this wasn't the first time. This wasn't the first heartbreak. Not for your soul, not for your lineage. You inherited this pain, didn't you? The silent suffering of women who never got to be chosen. The unspoken wounds of men who were taught that love meant sacrifice and silence. The relationships that ended before they could bloom. The connections that sparked only to die out before they could warm your spirit. But what if I told you none of it was a mistake? What if I told you that the universe in all its divine intelligence did not allow those people to stay because they were not aligned with your sacred timeline? What if that ache you carry is not punishment, but protection? You see, when you are among God's chosen ones, you do not receive ordinary love stories. You do not get attachment. You get assignments. You do not attract those who come to complete you. You attract those who come to awaken you. And sometimes, the awakening comes through absence, not presence. Through endings, not beginnings. Through heartbreak, not harmony. Because your soul is not here for shallow romance. It is here to remember the eternal union, the one that transcends flesh and time and fear. And so every time someone left, it was the universe whispering, not yet, not them, not like this. You weren't being punished, you were being preserved. Because your heart is sacred real estate, and the universe won't let just anyone build on holy ground. Breathe. You are not forgotten. You are not unloved. You are not broken. You are being chosen again and again by a love that refuses to let you settle for anything less than divine. So I ask you now, are you willing to see your heartbreak as a spiritual message? Are you ready to understand that your loneliness has always been a form of leadership, that your sorrow is sacred? Because if you are, then what comes next is not the end of love. It is the beginning of something eternal. That wasn't rejection, it was redirection. You thought they left because you weren't enough. You believed you were too much, too intense, too different. But the truth is, they couldn't meet you where you were going. Not because they were evil, not because you were unworthy, but because their frequency could not hold the weight of your destiny. The universe blocks certain relationships from blooming not to hurt you, but to heal you, to protect your purpose, to redirect you toward the divine corridor only chosen ones walk. And you, yes, you have always been one of them, but you forgot. You mistook the closed doors for condemnation when they were consecration. You saw the silence as abandonment when it was actually alignment. Because when God's hand is over your life, even heartbreak becomes holy. You are not here to chase affection. You are here to channel ascension. And so when someone tries to chain you to a version of yourself, you've already outgrown. The universe intervenes, not with thunder, not with fire, but with distance, with detachment, with a slow unraveling that you can't explain, only feel. You call it rejection. You call it loss. but the Spirit calls it rescue. Because not all love is safe. Not all affection is aligned. Some people come with familiar eyes, but foreign energy. Some bring the warmth you crave, but the wounds you've already healed. And if you were not chosen, if you were ordinary, the universe would let you have them. But because your soul carries sacred code, you are watched more closely. You are guided more directly. You are protected more fiercely. And that protection can feel like punishment when you don't understand the language of light. But you're learning, you're remembering, that the delays in your love life were not signs of doom, they were signs of design. That every no was a rerouting to something greater. That every tear you shed over someone walking away was watering the soil for someone truly meant to stay. So I ask you again, what if the pain wasn't random? What if the breakup was actually a breakthrough? What if that season of being alone was actually a spiritual fast from low-frequency love? You were never abandoned. You were recalibrated. You were never overlooked. You were being upgraded. Because the kind of love written into your soul's contract is not a transaction. It's a transformation. But for that love to arrive, you must first release the illusions you've been clinging to. The images of forever that were built on fear, not frequency. Let them go. Let them dissolve. And know this. When the universe blocks someone from your life, it's not because they didn't want you. It's because your soul whispered to God, "Protect me even from the love I think I want." And heaven listened. You were sent to break the old patterns, not to repeat them, not to romanticize them, not to survive inside them, but to disrupt, dismantle, and deliver something new. That's why you've never been able to hold on to the kind of love everyone else settles for. That's why mediocrity has always made you sick. That's why your spirit would rather ache alone than shrink in false connection. Because you carry ancient codes. You are the turning point in your bloodline. The interrupter. The divine disruptor. And when the universe placed this assignment in your soul, it did not consult your comfort. It consulted your calling. So what feels like chaos in your love life is not confusion. It is construction. You are being wired differently, loved differently, prepared differently. Because you are not just a partner. You are a portal. Through you, new frequencies of intimacy will be born. Through you, generations of heartbreak will end. Through you, a new kind of love. Whole, wholly harmonious will take its first breath. That is why the old ways will not work for you. You were not sent to inherit pain. You were sent to interrupt it. Every time you were ghosted, left behind, betrayed, or misunderstood was not a curse. It was contrast, a lesson, a mirror showing you what you will never allow again. You see, trauma builds templates, but truth rewrites them. And you, dear soul, are the author now. You are the template breaker. You are the pattern destroyer. You are the one your ancestors cried for, the one who dared to say, "It ends with me." So of course your relationships don't look like everyone else's. Of course your love story seems delayed, because the universe is not just preparing a partner, it is preparing a paradigm. And it begins with you, with how you treat yourself, with what you now refuse to accept, with the standards you raise not out of ego, but out of remembrance. You remember that love is not supposed to hurt. You remember that connection is not supposed to confuse. You remember that being chosen by God means you don't beg to be chosen by people. And when you remember that, you stop chasing, you stop explaining, you stop trying to turn fragments into forever. Because you now know anything that costs your peace is not your path. Anything that dims your light is not your legacy. You don't need more proof. You need more trust. Trust that the universe is clearing the field because your destiny needs clean soil to grow. Trust that your soul is more committed to your healing than your habits. Trust that the void is holy, that the waiting is wise, that the disruption is divine. You were sent not to fit the mold, but to melt it down and recast love in your own sacred image. Sacred isolation is training for sacred union. You've mistaken solitude for punishment. You've seen your singleness as failure. But beloved, what if your isolation is the fire that forges your frequency? What if the silence around you is not a void, but a voice? The universe has pulled you away not to harm you, but to hone you. Not to abandon you, but to anoint you. Because chosen ones cannot afford distraction when destiny is knocking. You are not in exile, you are in incubation. You are being set apart, not set aside. The love you crave is real. It is coming, but it cannot enter until you are aligned with the version of yourself who knows how to hold it, not grasp it, not cling to it, but hold it with reverence like sacred flame. The wrong people had to leave so that the right one could recognize your light without needing to dim it. Your heartbreaks were not signs you are unlovable. They were divine diagnostics, showing you the places where your self-worth still needed healing. This time of aloneness is not random. It is rhythmic. It is the space between who you were and who you are becoming. And if you try to skip this part, if you try to rush union before your spirit is ready, you risk repeating the same cycles you were sent here to break. So trust the pause. Trust the divine quarantine. Trust the fact that your soul asked for this. That before you came here, you agreed to walk through this fire, so that when you finally met the one, you wouldn't bleed on them with the wounds from others. You are not being kept from love. You are being kept for love. You are being trained to hold energy, to read vibration, to listen beyond words. You are becoming the mirror that only reflects truth. And only someone with equal depth can meet you in that mirror. So stop mourning what was never meant to last. Stop chasing ghosts in people who were only sent to trigger your awakening. Stop asking why they didn't stay. The answer is simple. Their presence would have delayed your preparation. Their energy would have confused your calibration. And your mission, your true mission, is too important to risk for temporary comfort. You are being refined, rewired, reborn. This sacred isolation is a holy rehearsal. You are learning how to love yourself in ways no one ever taught you. You are building an inner sanctuary that no storm can touch. And when the time is right, when your frequency hums with clarity instead of need, the universe will not delay. It will send the one who doesn't complete you, but complements your divine assignment. The one whose soul remembers yours from before time began. But until then, honor the solitude. Bless the becoming. And remember, this isn't loneliness. This is alignment. Declare your alignment with divine love. No more shrinking. No more waiting for permission to feel worthy. No more pretending you're not ready. You are. You've walked through fire. You've wept in silence. You've prayed with cracked lips and a trembling soul. And still, you rise. You rise because you are the proof that pain doesn't cancel purpose. You rise because somewhere deep in your DNA, there's a knowing I was born for more. This is the moment you stop asking if you're the chosen one. You are. Not by accident. Not by chance. but by cosmic design. God didn't overlook you. The universe didn't forget you. You were hidden because your light needed time to remember its own brilliance. And now, it's time. Time to step forward. Time to speak your truth. Time to burn the old scripts of shame and step into your sacred authority. Say it now out loud like a vow to your soul. I am aligned with divine love. Say it until your bones believe you. Say it until your shadow stops shaking. Say it until heaven echoes it back. Because your voice is not just sound, it's signal. It tells the universe you're ready to receive what was always yours. The love that honors your frequency. The connection that heals, not harms. The partnership that feels like prophecy fulfilled, not performance endured. And to receive that, you must become that. You must become the vibration you seek. You must become the energy of truth, integrity, devotion, and expansion. You must release the masks, the fear, the scarcity. You must rise into your original essence, wholeness. Today is not just another day. It is a threshold, a portal, a spiritual intersection where you get to choose continue waiting for validation from broken places or return to your throne. The throne of knowing, the throne of embodiment, the throne of sacred love. Because when you declare your alignment, the universe responds. Reality bends, timelines shift, and the one meant for you begins to feel your pulse through the ether. They start dreaming of you. They start healing for you. They start moving closer to the version of themselves that can carry your crown without fear. So this is the declaration, not a whisper, not a hope, but a roar. I am no longer available for love that breaks me. I am no longer hiding in the shadows of my worth. I am the chosen one. I am the shift. I am the vibration. I am the blessing they've been praying for, and I will not dim to fit into any story smaller than my soul. Say it, write it, type it, breathe it. Let the cosmos record your clarity. Let your ancestors dance at your remembering. Let heaven open, because divine love is not coming, it's already here. And now so are you. You've made it here, not just to the end of this message, but to the beginning of your remembering. Every word was a mirror, every sentence a seed. And now the question is no longer, why did they leave? But what am I being led into? You've walked through heartbreaks that weren't just emotional, they were initiations. You've stood at the edge of loneliness and still chose love. You've been blocked, broken, buried, and yet you still radiate light. That's not weakness. That's divinity. The universe does not waste energy. Every relationship that left you empty was making room. Every goodbye was sacred geometry, realigning your soul with its true match. And now you know. You are not just healing. You are igniting. You are not just chosen. You are activated. So if this stirred something inside you, if it lit a fire beneath your silence, don't keep it to yourself. Share this with someone who needs to remember their sacred design. And in the comments below, write it loud. Write it true. Write it like a sacred vow. I am aligned with divine love. I am the shift. And if you want to walk deeper into your soul's mission, subscribe, because this is only the beginning. Your light is needed. Your voice is holy. Your love is revolutionary. Welcome home, chosen one.